I will give me like 30 more seconds. No one ever says Steve Kerr and John Paxson saved Michael Jordan, but they hit shots. Skip, that's what teammates do.
If you ask Michael Jordan who's his best teammate ever, he'll obviously say Scottie Pippen. I mean, the man even said verbatim, there's no Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen. And I found that quote very, very, very intriguing. If this documentary is doing one thing for me, it's really highlighting the significance of every player on a championship team. The player that averages 8 points is probably a lot more significant than you think. And that brings me to my favorite type of player, that reliable ass role player that nobody talks about. Like, we all get it. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player Kobe ever played with. But let's talk about the player that he never won a championship without, Mr. Derek Fisher. And really quickly, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn on post notifications, like the video, do all that great stuff. It helps out my channel. I've been gone for a while, so it will definitely help me out. Thank you.
Right now is for them to take care of their defensive rebounding, and for the Lakers, just have patience.
Fisher three, got it after Bryant missed his third three of the quarter. Now gets the defensive assignment with Kobe.
Now you can see there's no quickness in Kobe's gait.
Fisher feeling it, another three for Derek Fisher. The technical call for the fist pump there. It's an emotional time. Fisher gets to a spot. He's been hot. He hit another three. So Derek Fisher lighting it up in this fourth quarter. He has 3 threes, and it's a 4-point game.
A player like Derek Fisher, he was kind of tailor-made for Kobe Bryant. He didn't really demand the ball that much. He knew his role. He played hard on both sides. He was a natural leader. He was very loyal. All right. He wasn't really that loyal, but you get it, man. He was a pretty good damn teammate. And when you watch sports TV dominated by personalities like Skip Bayless, they tend to completely undervalue players like Derek Fisher. Being quote unquote saved by a role player is deemed to be some type of stain on your resume. Like, LeBron is constantly faulted for Ray Allen hitting that shot and quote unquote saving his legacy. And LeBron fans will counter that by the John Paxson shot and the Steve Kerr shot, when really the whole ideology makes no sense and is evidence to prove it. Bruce Bowen, he hit many clutch shots for Tim Duncan and the whole Spurs legacy. Ron Artest, he hit 2 of the clutchest shots of the 2010s to help Kobe get that last ring. Last year, Fred VanVleet arguably hit more clutch shots in the finals than the finals MVP himself. Jason Terry completely destroyed LeBron in the NBA finals. Andre Iguodala, he won a finals MVP over the real MVP. Andre Iguodala, he's hit many clutch shots during that Warriors run and dynasty and all that. Robert Horry literally hit clutch shots for Hakeem Olajuwon, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and Tim Duncan. 4 players that most would have in their top 10. And Robert Horry averaged 7 points for his career. And everyone talks about Ray Allen saving LeBron's bacon in Game 6. But what about Game 7? It was another role player that had a very big game. Shane Battier hit 6 threes in Game 7, and he ultimately helped get that championship, but nobody talks about that. And I can really go on and on about key players hitting huge shots for NBA legends, so that whole argument is kind of stupid to me. Role players, they literally make up your team. You're going to have more of them than you have stars, so they literally make up your team. Michael Jordan even said once, we're 1 Horace Grant away from being a championship contender, because he understands their value. First, you have the 3-and-D guy. Now, personally, I would love to be this guy because this guy doesn't really put the ball on the floor much. He just finds his spots and makes the most out of his opportunity. And obviously on the other side of the court, he takes on that task and he gets dirty. Next, you have your Draymond Greens. These guys just mess with people. They get fines, they're hated, they get texts, whatever. Their role is literally to be the bad guy and they embrace it. These guys are important as well. Then you have your 3-point specialists. your Kyle Korvers, your JJ Redicks, etc. These guys are literally on the court for one reason, and they're perfect for high usage players like Russell Westbrook, LeBron, guys that drive and they need somebody to kick it to. They're important as well. And finally, you have your rebounder / rim protector. The name speaks for itself. But taking it all the way back to the theme of this video, you have your Derek Fisher, a player that was very, very rare. A player that wasn't really great at anything. He was undersized, he was small, but he didn't take shit from anyone, not even Kobe and Shaq. And this is the main reason why he was so important. Derek's first real test was in the 2001 NBA playoffs. Normally he came off the bench for Nick Van Exel and Ron Harper, but this playoffs he started all 16 games and he completely seized the moment. His numbers weren't crazy eye-popping, but in his specific role, he went ballistic. He shot 51% from deep on 68 attempts in the playoffs. And most noteworthy, in the Western Conference Finals closeout game, these were his numbers. He outplayed Shaq, he outplayed Kobe, he outplayed Tim Duncan. A little role player did all this. In 2004, even though the Lakers didn't win it all, as we all know, Derek Fisher still had one of the craziest moments of the 2000s. Tim Duncan comes down and hits one of the clutchest shots of his career. What else is new? And with only 0.4 seconds remaining, everyone and their moms is expecting a Shaq dunk, a Shaq tipping, a Kobe being Kobe moment. Hell, even Karl Malone having a good look. He was on that team. No one saw the smallest player on the court making the biggest play of the game.
Here they go. They get it to Fisher. He scores! Derek Fisher scores at the buzzer.
Have you ever noticed this? When Derek Fisher left in 2004, who did Kobe immediately clash with repeatedly? The player that replaced Derek Fisher.
Smush Parker. Oh, that's so good. So,
What do you got, 4?
They had absolutely no chemistry. Kobe didn't trust him. Kobe didn't like his makeup. He didn't think he was tough enough, and he gave him hell for it. And you can argue that Smush Parker was probably more talented than Derek Fisher naturally, but he just didn't have his balls. If you really look at it closely, the 2 times Derek Fisher left, Kobe immediately had his 2 highest usage rate years. Both times after he left, his usage rates shot up. When Derek Fisher got back in 07, I'm not saying this solely because of him, because obviously it's not, but the team did get back on track. And also, look at the key moments this man had. He just wasn't along for the ride. This man played big. The point I'm trying to make is when you have a superstar as dominant as Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, the defensive game plan is very, very simple. Get the ball out of that player's hands and don't allow him to beat you solely. This is why those role players are so significant. Notice how on Sunday's episode, when Jordan came back, look at the guys he was picking on. Steve Kerr, Scott Burrell, all those type of guys, because he even said, I know at some point I will need those players. I truly believe those players that wear the jerseys that don't sell, they can ultimately be more important than the bigger names, because those bigger names are going to get the attention and the double teams, and it's not an individual sport. You need those players. Derek Fisher, he's so appreciated in LA and all that because even though he lacked the size and the God-given talent of Kobe, he had that mentality to be a dog and be counted on when he was needed, and that was important. I'm going to make a video about certain role players that play some of the biggest roles in some of the biggest championships, so make sure you guys look out for that. If you guys like the video, make sure you guys like the video. Follow my Twitter, do all that great stuff. Leave in the comments some of the most important role players that you can think of and all that. Follow my Twitter, follow my social media sites, do all that great stuff, guys. And until next time, I am back on a regular schedule, so look out for my videos. Stay tuned.
Now it's time we go through that door. You know, and that's, you know, you hit that big three. You know, I hit a little pull-up too, and, you know, Ron obviously made that huge shot. And, you know, Sasha came in and dolled up the eyebrows and fixed the hair and knocked down a couple clutch free throws, and then the rest is history.